Hi, everybody. So this is really exciting. We are back together doing our next rounds in this Animation Showdown that we had last week. And this week, I'm going to be just being the host. And I have three amazing guests with me that are going to help fill out this bracket and determine what is the definitive best animated film ever made. So this is really exciting. And so if you just want to introduce yourself, starting with David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello again, everybody. If you don't remember or you're just tuning in this week, my name is David Gerlach. I'm a big-time movie fan. Been reviewing movies on YouTube for over 3 years now. And, I just love movies. Love to watch them, love to make them, love to talk about them.
Awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Larry and I review movies over on my channel, which is called LC Screen Talk. It's kind of a long title. But I do movie reviews as well as like fun discussions or more serious discussions and then some lip syncs as well. And I have one coming up in the next month to watch out for. So, yay.
And your Guardians of the Galaxy one was awesome. I loved it. Good job. All right, Mike, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Mike. Mike Culligan. I run a YouTube channel called Cartoon Karma. As you might gather by the title, I love animation a lot, and that's why I do the channel. I missed out on the bracket last week, so sorry to the viewers in the audience. Sometimes real life gets in the way, but I'm here now. Counts for something.
Yeah, thank you so much, and appreciate you joining us this from way over in the UK.
Ireland, actually, but close enough.
Ireland, yes. Great. Okay, so let's just get started. So this is round two, and we'll get started on the first showdown. We have two titans. We have Aladdin versus Wally. So David, take us away.
Well, if y'all remember what I said last week, I don't like Aladdin. I don't hate it. Robin Williams, someone saves it. And I love Wally. A blender of 2001 Space Odyssey and Interstellar. I got to go with Wally on this one.
All right. I love Wally. I love the environmental message. I think it's innovative. It's groundbreaking. It pushes forward in the animation genre in so many ways. But I love Aladdin a little bit more. The music is great. As I said last week, I like having a brown prince and princess. Not the same brown, but it is brown. And so I'm going to go ahead and go with Aladdin.
Oh my god, the tiebreaker is on me.
Yeah.
Break one of our hearts.
This is a hard one because Aladdin is probably my personal favorite Disney film, which is not the same as saying I think it's the best one. I don't think that. Mm-hmm. So I have to decide between that and the monumental artistic achievement that is Wally. So as much as I love Aladdin to no end, I'm going to have to go with Wally.
Wally, I can't believe it. I'm shocked. But I don't know. I mean, that's the tough part for me. If I was voting, that would be my struggle because I do think Aladdin's probably more entertaining, but I think Wally's probably better made. Artistic achievement. So, wow, there you go. Look at that.
Sorry, Jeannie.
Okay, so now we have this one. I don't think will be as challenging, but they're both good films. We have Beauty and the Beast versus How to Train Your Dragon.
Well, let me tell you something, Jay Burchell, or however you say your last name. I love you. I love your movie. But you can't stop the tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast, Belle, Gaston, Lumiere. I got to go Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
So I really love How to Train Your Dragon as well. But this is kind of a no contest for me. As much as I do love Toothless and the Gang, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney film. Thus, I vote Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the consensus pick. As great as How to Train Your Dragon is, Beauty and the Beast is one of the best Disney films, one of the best animated films ever made, without question. Beauty and the Beast.
All right. Yeah, that one was pretty easy, unfortunately. So one of the DreamWorks is out. Okay, so this one should be interesting. We have Secret of NIMH versus Akira?
Oh.
Well, this is a little bit difficult. Obviously, the movie that's easier to watch is Secret of NIMH. Akira is a little hard to watch, but it's so well made. Like I said, the last stream, it's like Stanley Kubrick. Someone watched a Stanley Kubrick movie and aspired to make an anime movie over in Asia, like Stanley Kubrick. Gotta be objective here. This is tough. This is very tough.
It's a hard one. It really is.
If I'd seen Akira twice, I probably would go for it on the technical aspects. But since I've seen Secret of NIMH more, I'm probably going to give the edge to Secret of NIMH.
All right.
So I mentioned last week, as a child, I did not like Secret of NIMH like at all.
It's pretty scary.
Rewatching it as an adult, I found the appreciation for it and the characters. But Akira, I watched for the first time when I was a little bit older. Wasn't watching that as like a 5-year-old. But I loved Akira pretty much from the first time I've seen it, and I've seen it a couple of subsequent times. And I just think it is like borderline masterpiece for an animated film, so I'm going to vote Akira.
Mike. Tiebreaker.
Again, I guess since I'm the last one to pick, I get the feeling I'm going to be the tiebreaker a lot. Basic maths. Okay,
everyone's going to hate you.
Okay. Well, the first time, I remember the first time I saw it here, it was such a striking experience. So I think it was like 14 or whatever. We had a teacher that liked to show us anime films, so I got a lot of my good anime from him. Princess Mononoke was another. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't see Secret of NIMH until a couple of years ago, and while Secret of NIMH is the best Don Bluth movie in my opinion, I'll have to throw it Akira's way just for being so influential and for, you know, being as high energy and wowful as it is. So, Akira?
Akira with the win. All right. Woo. Okay. So here we got an interesting one because it's two firsts. Next, we have Toy Story versus Snow White. We have the first traditional animated film versus the first CG animated film. So, it'll be interesting.
All right. Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story. I love it.
Yeah.
Snow White, you're kind of dated. You're still good. But Toy Story started Pixar. It made Pixar the monster it is today. It came out the same year I was born. For 22 years, I've been watching that movie nonstop, and it never, ever gets any worse. Toy Story.
You got to give respect to Snow White just for being the classic that it is. But like I said, that singing into the well just kills it for me. I'm like, oh, fast forward. I can't, please. And thus, it cannot overtake Toy Story. So that my vote also for Toy Story.
You are wishing on a wish. Where would you side, Mike?
Well, like most people, I probably watched Toy Story a lot more in my youth than Snow White because, you know, it's Snow White. It is perhaps a little dated. It doesn't bother me all that much. I still think it's a masterpiece and one of the best films ever made. But I will throw to Toy Story, even though it doesn't technically matter here, given what the other two voted for. So, Toy Story.
All right, sounds good. I do love Toy Story. I love Toy Story and I love Snow White. So this one actually would be pretty hard for me. But yeah, it's true. The music I think is the part that is dated in Snow White. But I absolutely love Toy Story. It's amazing. So the script is so good in Toy Story, I think. So all right, next we have Alice in Wonderland versus Frozen. This is an interesting comparison.
Oh.
Well, being is that I picked Peter Pan last time because Alice in Wonderland is like one messed up movie. Yeah. Frozen, like I said, I was a part of that hype train of Frozen. I loved it. I love how they twisted or kind of flipped the trope on its head of an act of true love, a true love's first kiss, the guy and the girl, where they make it like sisters. Olaf is one of the best supporting characters out there. He is so cute and adorable. I gotta go with Frozen because I have never been on an acid trip before.
All right.
Alice needs help.
This is a really tough one for me. So in the first round, I voted for Alice in Wonderland and then for Fantasia. But this one is not quite as easy as either of those decisions were for me. I do really like Alice in Wonderland. I think it's a fun, trippy, crazy ride. And the animated film has just so much more wonder and so much more going on than either of these last two live-action adaptations.
For sure.
But I do think Frozen, as as an actual narrative, is much stronger than anything Alice has to offer. Oh gosh, I'm gonna go Frozen. I think the music is really good and really strong. Let It Go, of course, is like an instant classic mode. I also do love the sisterly love being the twist at the end. That was really well done. So despite some of the storytelling aspects I think that Frozen lacks, I still think it's a little bit better of a film overall.
Interesting. What would you say, Mike?
Well, with Frozen, I kind of fall into the position where I don't love it as much as the lovers do, but I don't hate it or think it's overrated the way other people do. I think it's a very good film, just not a great one. And then with Alice, well, you know, being such an animation nerd, I can't help but love a lot of the stuff it does, if just from a technical perspective. So I'll go with Alice here, actually. Controversial. Woo!
I would have gone with Alice too, as much as I love Frozen, just because I feel like Alice is the animation is just so amazing. And I do, I just love the nonsense, and it's just so different. And so I would have gone with Alice, but I love Frozen too. So, but Mike, you have to pick, you can't be in the middle these days. You have to either hate it or love it.
Yeah, I mean, whoever thought a movie was just okay or average? I mean, heaven forbid.
No, I said very good, just not great. That's not the same as okay or average, okay? Get with the program.
All right. So this one's an interesting one. We have Spirited Away versus Up.
Well, I'll go ahead and start breaking your heart. I despise Up. Cannot stand where the story goes after the first 10 minutes that are heartbreaking. I just do not like the decisions that were made by the old man's name Carl. I think it was Carl. I'll call him Carl even if it's not Carl. Carl. Kevin was a stupid bird. I'm sorry. Russell was an annoying Boy Scout. Doug, a cool dog, but his voice was annoying. Yeah, Spirited Away. It blew me away. I love it. It's amazing. The growth of the lead character, Chihiro, hopefully I said that right, is just out of this world. Yeah. Spirited Away.
I love Spirited Away. It was a really hard, close decision in the first round. I didn't vote for it, but I'm definitely voting for it here as well. I think pretty much all of the side characters in Up are a little bit grating, kind of annoying, and thus I just couldn't get into the film. So Spirited Away.
Okay, I love Up. I've loved all.
Yay! Thank you, Mike.
I've loved all of Pete Docter's 3 ones. Monsters Inc. is I wore the videotape out on that, no joke. And Inside Out is amazing, and so is Up. But I will throw my vote to Spirited Away. It's a unique experience. Yeah, I mean, like it's like the best Alice in Wonderland film that was never made. If you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, Spirited Away is a masterpiece, so I get it. But yeah, I mean, I guess when you have a movie that reminds you of your beloved grandpa, you know, that's going to be a hard one to top. And that's what Up does for me, is it makes me feel like, just reminds me of my grandpa, and I just love it. And I think that it's such a beautiful story about how a man learns to get over his regret and his grief for the life that he wishes he could have given to Ellie. And I love the way that she is sort of a continual presence within the story, even after she has just briefly been seen. You see her talking to her, making promises. And so when he, at the end, hold on just a second here.
Oh, no, we got 9 minutes. Hurry, let's go.
Did you see that too?
Yeah, I can see it. What's
it's
all that
on,
about?
it's on my screen, too.
Crap. Here, let me pause.
Spirited Away and Up, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I was sorry we had a little interruption there, but I was just saying that to me, it's a beautiful story about regret and loss and grief and kind of not giving up. You know, I feel like Carl, he kind of has given up on his life. And so I love it, but that's all right. You don't have to love it like I did. So
I still love it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you, Mike. But I do also love Spirited Away. It's one of the most original, inventive movies I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So next up, we have an interesting battle. We have The Incredibles versus Lion King. So this will be pretty interesting to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, Incredibles I saw early in my life. I saw it 3 times in the theater. Lion King I did not really see till I was much older. This is very tough because Incredibles, it's a great spin on like superheroes, like post-superhero life, trying to live an ordinary life, then coming back, kind of having a midlife crisis, then with a family and all the benefits and the like non-benefits of living a normal life. And then The Lion King is like, even though I'm not a Shakespeare fan, but the Shakespearean aspects of it, like, make me appreciate it. And just seeing the death of Mufasa is like one of the most horrifying and like tragic deaths you can see in an animated movie. And the music in The Lion King, aside from Hakuna Matata, is like amazing when you have Elton John behind the songs. You have Hans Zimmer scoring it. I'm going to give it to Lion King.
Interesting.
Incredibles is still amazing.
It's tough. It's really tough. I don't know what I would do.
So I'm an early 90s baby. So the Disney Renaissance is like kind of my bread and butter when it comes to animated films. When I was growing up, watching all these animated Disney movies as they were coming out or shortly after they came out. And The Lion King is the first film I ever saw in the theaters when I was a kid. And I've always loved The Lion King. It was actually my favorite Disney film until I was like right around 10. And then Beauty and the Beast took that away from it. Just kind of inexplicitly switched. Don't really ask me why. But I also love The Incredibles. I love the post-superhero life as well. Somebody mentioned it in the last podcast we did. The only good Fantastic Four movie we've gotten so far. And I think it's a great way to describe it. I think Lion King is amazing, and it still ranks as my number 2 Disney movie, whereas The Incredibles falls a little bit closer to the upper middle of the pack of Pixar for me. So I'm going to vote Lion King as well.
Next to Aladdin, Lion King was another one I probably wore the videotape out on. Obviously, loved it as much as the rest of you. And then The Incredibles, loved that one too. I think I was old enough that when it came along, it felt distinctive enough from, the 5 Pixar films that had come before. Like a little more adult, a little different directional focus. And I found that really refreshing, and obviously loved all the stuff you did. The post-superhero life, getting your priorities in order, all that stuff. But I will throw it to The Lion King for much of the same reasons the two of you did. Sorry if my answer's a bit bland, but there you go.
Lion King with a sweep. Look at that. So that is different than the Twitter poll that I did where you had Incredibles going all the way to the final 2, which surprised me a little bit. So, yeah, it was a very heavy Pixar tournament on Twitter. So you had Wally, you had Up, you had Incredibles, and Inside Out all making it pretty far. So there you go. It's a hard one. I don't know what I would pick. I'd be pretty torn, but I almost always give the edge to anything that has music that's done well, because I'm a musical theater girl, so I don't know. That would be my temptation with Lion King, and it does have some just powerful moments, but I don't know what I'd pick. I do love Incredibles too, and I love the fact that it actually shows like a marriage, like with the highs and lows and working things out. I think that's really unique in any film for children, or that children will watch. Okay, next we have Lady and the Tramp versus Zootopia. This should be interesting.
Well, as old as Lady and the Tramp is, it still is amazing. I still enjoy it. Zootopia definitely has more. Obviously, it's more current than Lady and the Tramp. Lady and the Tramp is like, what, 50 years old, 60 years old, something like that, whereas Zootopia is like a year old. So obviously, Lady and the Tramp is fighting an uphill battle here. Zootopia, I love Judy Hopps. I love this like world, this mythology that was built with like all the animals. Lady and the Tramp I watched a lot as a kid. I love Tramp. I love the lady. You know what? I'm going to throw a bone here. I'm going to give it to Lady and the Tramp. No pun intended.
Definitely an interesting one. They both revolve around animals, but don't have much else in common at all. I don't think Zootopia has anything near as iconic as that dinner scene in Lady and the Tramp. So I don't think it has something necessarily as everlasting a moment for Disney as a company. This is a pretty hard one. I agree. It's really hard to judge something that you just saw this past year. You were part of like the zeitgeist that happened, and it was a really, really good movie. And I don't know how Zootopia is gonna hold up moving forward. I don't know that it necessarily has as timeless a quality as Lady and the Tramp does, but that's a lot easier to do when romance is kind of at your core than when you're dealing with a little bit deeper of issues. So, in parts, to zhuzh it up a little bit, as well as I think that overall Zootopia was just a more ambitious film for the time it was made. I'm going to pick Zootopia.
Nice. All right, Mike.
Tiebreaker time. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, the major thing that worried me about Zootopia when it first came out was the whole data thing. Like, especially with them using iPhones or whatever, I think, how dated is this going to be in 10 years? And, data doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, you watch TV shows on television that are very dated and you still love them despite and because of that fact. So that doesn't have to be a bad thing necessarily. And Lady and the Tramp is another one because I've been rewatching that lately because I'm working on a video to do with it. So it's obviously fresh in my mind. So, I mean, I do prefer dogs to cats. I'm not the biggest pet lover in the world, but obviously there are so many cute and warm moments in that one. And as much as the characters in Zootopia are great, there are some other aspects that I'm not as sold on. I think it's a great film. I just don't love it. So I will throw it to Lady and the Tramp.
Underdog coming through.
Normally, I would probably say I enjoy watching Zootopia more, and there's probably more rewatchability for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I went with Lady and the Tramp because something timeless and classic about it.
Yeah, it is a really interesting comparison because you got one movie that does feel somewhat timely and one movie that does feel timeless. So, so let's see here. Just one second. I just want to. Okay, so our next battle, we have Coraline versus Nightmare Before Christmas. This should be interesting.
Well, like I said last time, I think Coraline is probably the crown jewel of this animation style. I love the lead character, Coraline. She is definitely the driving force that holds this movie together. Nightmare Before Christmas, I like the opening song. It was like a great hook. But after that, I'm like, it's okay. It's an interesting concept of, like, this Halloween town, ghouls and goblins all, like, it's their job and their duty to perform on Halloween. And then lead character is like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over again. I'm just going through the motions. I want to do something different. That's cool and all, but I just think that the execution didn't really stand out to me as much as it could have. And with Coraline, I think, yeah, it's just much better of like, oh, this girl, she has this normal life. She doesn't really like it, so she goes through this door. It's like, oh, here's a better life, but it's deceiving, deception. Not everything's not what they seem to be. So I'll give it to Coraline.
Okay. So I love Coraline. I think it is really inventive. It is really well executed. I love the mythology that it creates within itself. Gorgeous to look at. I also love The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think the music in The Nightmare Before Christmas is amazing. I also love the world building that The Nightmare Before Christmas creates, as well as the mythology. And I think what's going to give it to The Nightmare Before Christmas for me is the characters. I was able to relate and identify with more characters, certainly, than I was in Coraline. I think it focuses just kind of in on her. Of course, the parents are part of the riff as well. But she's the only one I really could somewhat identify with, whereas although they're all kind of crazy and all doing their own little weird thing, I could identify with several of the characters in Nightmare Before Christmas. So that's my pick. Was that better?
Yeah, that was much better. Okay. Much better.
Tiebreaker time yet again.
I don't envy your job.
Yeah, this one's tough.
They're all tough, let's be frank. I mean, there hasn't been a single one so far that it hasn't been at least somewhat tough.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's gonna happen when you get to round 2 and above.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nightmare Before Christmas, I mean, that kind of Tim Burton style. Yeah, I know he didn't direct it, but it's still, there's enough of his style in there. And it's interesting because Henry Selick actually made both these films, even though their visual styles is a little different within that kind of gothic stop motion aesthetic. I think what's going to swing it to Coraline for me is the animation. As much as the stop motion in Nightmare is lovely done and what have you, and all that, Coraline uses computers to help its animation in just such a unique way. That's what's great about Lakia. They use computers a lot, but it's in such a different way that it never feels conventional. And when you couple that with the great journey the protagonist goes on and the otherworldliness of it, like I remember seeing Coraline in the cinema. That was something else. So Coraline, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. It is a Henry Selick showdown. I think I would go with Nightmare because of what Larry said, but also I actually love all of the music. The only one that's the only part I don't really like is the Boogeyman sequence. I think is a little much, but I do love all the songs. I think it's just beautiful, and I love Danny Elfman's singing voice, and I think he's great. So for me, music almost always gets the edge. So okay, next we have Moana versus Prince of Egypt.
Oh, this hurts me. This really hurts me. I know what I'm going with here. It's not easy, but it's not hard either. And the reason why it's a little bit harder is because how much I love the Prince of Egypt. But I gotta go with Moana. I mean, Dwayne Johnson as Maui, Louis Cravola, she just took my breath away with her singing voice and her character. Prince of Egypt, I love it because of how true it is, the biblical tale, and just how real it felt. But I gotta get to Moana.
So I also, it hurt a little bit, but also is a fairly easier choice for me. Prince of Egypt is great. I mean, it has the power of the divas, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and that music. But I think the music in Moana trumps that. And I just was more engrossed with the characters of Moana, and it's always nice to get actually it's really nice thinking about these two films that we have two leads that are not like Anglo American or European. And this is like one of the only times that these biblical stories have decided to play up the fact that they do in fact take place in the Middle East or Egypt with their character depictions, because that's often not the case. So big kudos to Prince of Egypt, but personally I really connected with Moana. It was my second favorite movie out of all of the films from last year. So Moana.
Okay, well, I'm going to sound a bit like a sheep here, but I'm basically saying the same thing. Like, Prince of Egypt, it's great and all. It hints at a direction DreamWorks didn't go in, which would have been nice. I mean, it is a very kind of Disney film of the time, but it has enough unique things of its own. Like, I see lots of things the artists were trying out that worked out really well, despite whatever little missteps there are. But Moana, I mean, the characters really sell it. The music is really, really solid. I don't think there's a single clinker in the songs. Some are better than others, but there isn't one that I disliked. And the character-focused narrative really works. I think the humor isn't as good as it could be. There are a lot of jokes that kind of irked me a bit, but that's really about it for Moana. Otherwise, I love it. So, Moana.
Interesting. That actually surprises me. I would have picked Prince of Egypt. I love Moana. I really do. But I don't know. I think that Prince of Egypt just has this epic quality. It uses, maybe it also has the 2D animation that I love. And I love the reverence that it has in scenes and just the sense of awe and wonder. And so I would have gone with Prince of Egypt as much as I love Moana. So that's interesting.
I wouldn't have blamed you. Great movie.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Okay, so now we have the Lego Movie versus Inside Out.
Oh.
Well, all right. Let me break it down for y'all. Don't get me wrong. I like both these movies. I like them both. I like them both a lot. Pete Docter, I think, sometimes suffers from trying to make it too kind of Oscar worthy-ish, if that makes any sense. Whereas I think the Lego Movie had like brilliant tongue-in-cheek kind of spoof humor that embedded into like this new animation that I really enjoyed, with the Lego Movie having all these themes, and while Inside Out having all these themes as well. I just think with Inside Out, what kind of pushes Lego Movie over the edge for me is that Inside Out has kind of like two things going for it, like the human side and then the emotion side. Whereas I feel like focused solely on one, I probably would have enjoyed it more. So, because as heartbreaking as the ending is when Riley breaks down her parents' arms, I love it. I was almost thinking to myself, what if the entire movie was about her, just Riley? Like, take the emotions out and just have it about Riley. Would I have enjoyed that more? Maybe. But still, Inside Out still is very, very well made. It's a brilliant script, but I'm just going to give it the Lego Movie just by an inch.
All right.
So I think the Lego Movie is extremely innovative in its animation. I mean, the animation is undeniably stunning for the Lego Movie. But as I touched on in our last segment, I really enjoyed the Lego Movie, but I did not love it as much as the majority seemed to really get into it. And a big part of that for me was just the fact that the emotions themselves didn't quite hit home for me. So on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, I can really relate more to Inside Out, and I think it is really trying to tell a more sophisticated and complex story. And I always give kudos for trying to introduce children to these topics and kind of open up discussions that maybe we weren't able to really have with our kids beforehand. Plus, the world building in both is spectacular. They're just both building different worlds. So I think it's kind of a wash there. So usually I kind of lean more toward the characters that I identify with. Thus, I'm going to give it to Inside Out.
Here we go again. I'm starting to run out of variations of I have the deciding choice here. Just so you know. Okay.
Just flip a coin.
Okay, let me go. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. It's an easy choice as much as I do love both these films. I'm going with Inside Out.
Right.
I mean, I think that
I'm not surprised that I'm on the minority side here.
Yeah, they're actually kind of similar. I think it's an interesting comparison. But I would also go with Inside Out. But I do love both, so it's tough. They would both be in my top 5 of movies, animated films of the last like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're almost done this round, and then I think these next ones will be a little bit faster because you just have less to do. So we have this is the last of this round. We have The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh versus Cinderella.
Well, I can't remember what Winnie the Pooh went up against last week, but I definitely did not choose Winnie the Pooh because it's good, but kind of geared more for kids. Doesn't have as much adult interest as it possibly could have, like most animations do, where it's for kids and adults. I feel like this Winnie the Pooh is more so for kids. Well, having some adult things, but more so for kids. Whereas Cinderella, I love the animals. I love this classic tale that's definitely, kind of worn down, and not really worn down, but well known, so well known that's oh yeah, I know about the tale of Cinderella. But I think it definitely stands firm as a beautiful story of overcoming the most evil, vile, diabolical people you can possibly face, and just anything for that matter that's evil and diabolical. So I would give the edge to Cinderella.
Okay. This one is super hard for me, actually. I expressed it last week. I love Eeyore. If we were to do a ranking of my favorite Disney characters, or at least characters even post their films, Eeyore ranks very high for me. He kind of is my biggest connection to Winnie the Pooh itself. I really love the film. I also really love Cinderella. And, I mean, this is kind of... Cinderella, I think, as much as we love other princesses more than Cinderella herself, I still think she kind of is the face of the Disney princess. She still kind of has the iconic look. She still is kind of the first thing that comes to my mind of a Disney princess, even if I like Belle much more. And Gus is so cute. I think Lady Tremaine is just pure evil, and that ripping of the dress scene is horrifying scene. One of the I just traumatized slightly as a child.
I'm traumatized as an adult when I see it.
So as much as I love Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh, from a pure film standpoint, I have to give it to Cinderella.
Okie dokie. This is probably the easiest choice, in this whole bracket, to be honest, for me. I'm going for Winnie the Pooh. I can concur with what was said earlier, that it is for kids. There isn't much for an adults. Yes, that is true, but I think it focuses on kids in the best possible way, in such a way that if you could just kind of turn off the adult portion of your brain, then you'll have the best time. Whereas Cinderella, I can't believe I'm saying this, I think it's overrated a bit. There are aspects in it that just don't gel with me. I think Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is great, but the rest of the songs I can kind of take or leave. And I'm a big musical person, I think Cinderella herself is a little bland, and obviously that's the case with a lot of Disney protagonists, and sometimes it's the point. Her blandness is just a little striking for me. And there's just other aspects, but I really like Gus and Lady Tremaine. I think they're fantastic. So Cinderella's still a really good film, but Many Adventures, Winnie the Pooh, no contest. Not that it matters here, but
cool. I'm glad I got one vote, because I love Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I don't have a problem that it's not made for adults. I think that I wish we had more movies that were just made for kids and made carefully for their intellects and and their emotions and their so anyway, but yeah, both great films. So okay, we're now into the next round. So we have Wally versus Beauty and the Beast. So we already kind of talked about.
Oh, this is by far the hardest one I've faced all day. Oh God, if I had a list after I rewatched all 48 of these movies, I had a list, and Beauty and the Beast and Wally were fighting each other, back and forth, back and forth. One moment Wally's on top, next moment Beauty and the Beast's on top. Wally could show that humans can lose their way, that robots can become more human, and that robots can teach us more than the actual humans in the movie about humanity and love, and don't let technology consume you. Versus Beauty and the Beast is the tale as old as time. Look for the beauty within, not by the looks, but what their heart tells you, their personality, everything. The music in Beauty and the Beast, even though Wally doesn't have music, but still it's just beautiful to look at.
Got Hello Dolly.
Golly, this is super, super hard. This is like picking a college. Where am I going to go?
Do we want to come back to you?
I'm going to give it to the Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast. Okay.
Beauty and the Beast.
There we go.
Okay. Wally is an innovative storytelling. Beauty and the Beast, I think, was really innovative visually and animation-wise when it came out. But, I mean, I've already said it before, it's my favorite. So, Beauty and the Beast is my vote.
All right.
Okay. I think what swings it for me is that Beauty and the Beast, it's not like trying to do anything as outstandingly innovative as Wally, but it gets everything done like absolutely perfectly. Like there basically isn't a single flaw in the whole film, whereas Wally is one of the most ambitious films and basically reaches 95% of that ambition, but just occasionally with some of the human stretches in the latter half of the film, it's just not at that absolute masterpiece level. It's just a notch below that. So if all of Wally were at that level, I'd go for it, but I'll have to throw to Beauty and the Beast for the reasons I just said. So
all right, Beauty and the Beast. Moving on. Okay.
If you asked me tomorrow, I probably would have picked Wally.
So next one is a weird mix-up, weird comparison because these are so different. But we have Akira versus Toy Story.
Oh.
Well, I said it before, I'll say it again. Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story, Toy Story. I love Toy Story. Woody and Buzz, iconic as it gets. Tim Allen and Tom Hanks at their finest. The journey from Andy's house to Sid's house. Well, Andy's house to Pizza Plant to Sid's house. It's like that is it's so great that you can't even describe it. Akira, as mind-boggling as it is, just it doesn't hold a candle, if you ask me, to Toy Story. As great as it is, Toy Story is like that perfect masterpiece, not just of animation, but of filmmaking. I love Toy Story.
So I agree that I think both of these are in the masterpiece animation category. So it just kind of comes down to which one I prefer, and I also prefer Toy Story.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I guess what's going to throw my way is that Toy Story is the more welcoming and comforting film. Like as great as Akira is, it's like you said, you can't like rewatch it endlessly like a Hitchcock thing. It's a very mind intensive, whereas Toy Story is brilliant in just all the ways it is, and it's like a Mary Poppins. If I feel unwell, Toy Story is the type of film I might pop in to make myself feel better, to unwind, get rid of stress. And there's something to be said for the best of those kinds of films.
Yep.
And so to Toy Story, to infinity and beyond.
I agree. Okay. So we have this one should be on the easier side, I feel like, but we have Frozen versus Spirited Away.
Well, like I said, I love the different things of Frozen. Spirited Away blew my mind away when I first saw it. I would go with Spirited Away.
I enjoy Frozen. Believe it or not, Mike, I'm in that same camp with you. I don't love it as much as the people who love it. I don't hate it like the haters. Think it's good. But I think Spirited Away is better. So Spirited Away is my vote.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would take a lot for me to hate a Disney film. I can list the Disney films I hate on one hand, the animation canon, that is. But getting back on topic, Spirited Away, no question. I'm not even going to bother listing my reasons. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty easy. So this one also, I guess will be interesting. We have Lion King versus Lady and the Tramp.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of easier. I mean, Lady and the Tramp, I love it, even with the amazing scene where the dogs get fed spaghetti free of charge by two strangers that sing to them. But you know what? This is the night has nothing compared to I Just Can't Wait to Be King or Be Prepared, Circle of Life, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I got to go with that little Simba and Mufasa.
Yeah, so as iconic as that spaghetti scene is, I actually think that the Circle of Life, like Pride Rock baby Simba scene, is maybe even more iconic than that spaghetti scene for Disney films. I love Lion King, so it also gets my vote.
Oh, I feel so bad for Lady and the Tramp. It was, of all the ones we've done so far, it was probably the most surprise win, edging out Zootopia. And then it comes against Lion King, and it tries its almost hardest, but it's just not going to win. Sorry,
It's like March Madness.
It had a good run. I mean, it beat the Jungle
Cinderella
Book
team
and Zootopia, so it
it's
had
that Cinderella team that could, but it's not good enough against the Titans that are big schools of North Carolina and Kansas.
Like Lady Tramp, I love you, but Lion King, hands down,
Is this the animal bracket with like Jungle Book, Zootopia, Lion King, Lady and the Tramp?
Exactly. So next we have an interesting comparison, actually, I think. Coraline versus Moana.
Oh.
Well, like I said, Coraline, probably my favorite out of that animation style, but those animation style movies really don't stand out to me when it comes to, say, like the Disney Renaissance, like those classic Disney movies that have music in them. And, I'm a sucker for the rock, so I got to go with Moana. You're welcome.
As much as I love Coraline, it's not even quite my favorite Laika film. I think that was overtaken, actually, by Kubo and the Two Strings. I really loved that movie. But if you watch my animation ranking of 2016, you'll see that Moana beat out Kubo and the Two Strings at 1 and 2. So I like Kubo more than I like Coraline. I like Moana more than both. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Moana.
It's like one of those, I don't know, like one of those sort of Venn diagram kind of things.
Sticky notes everywhere, like plotting this, that.
This more than this, and I like this more than this.
Such a science to it.
Yeah.
I'll be a bit controversial here and throw it to Coraline, as much as Moana was probably the first Disney animated film I loved in a short while, just because, all the reasons I mentioned before, so I think it's such an experience, and Kubo is maybe a little better than it, but I still love it endlessly. And Moana, I just about loved you, but sorry, not that it matters, since I'm sure.
I love Moana so much, but I actually think the story might be a little better in Coraline, as far as just from point A to point Z kind of story. But I actually think they're kind of similar. They both have very similar, I think, heroines in a way. Anyway, kind of interesting comparison. And that's what's sort of, I think, kind of cool about doing this, is you sort of realize these movies you wouldn't have put together, they actually do have more in common than you think. Anyway, and so this next one, we have Inside Out versus Cinderella.
Well, as much as Cinderella has been like another Cinderella story here, Inside Out, I think, is just far superior in every way, with the themes.
Interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
No,
actually.
Yeah, even though like Inside Out, it's not like my favorite Disney film. I still think it's a really good movie with the themes and the emotions in it. Cinderella, I think, yeah, it's just a little bit older, and maybe the remake of Cinderella has something to do with that. But even if not, I probably still would go Inside Out.
I feel like this has been the easiest round thus far. I mentioned how iconic Cinderella is just in like Disney lore and canon, but I think Inside Out is the superior film in most every aspect, so I'm going to give it to Inside Out.
Ooh.
I'm sure you're all waiting for my detailed reason. Inside Out. Boom.
All right. Well, Cinderella had a good Cinderella run. Be Sleeping Beauty and Winnie the Pooh. Okay, so now we have this one. This one I think will be tough. We have Beauty and the Beast versus Toy Story.
I knew it was going to come down to this. And I might as well go ahead and spoil it to you now. I wasn't going to say earlier because it may spoil everything, but there's a pantheon. There's a pantheon in the corner of my mind that has like the top 3 animated movies of all time. In that pantheon is Beauty and the Beast and Wally fighting for the 2 and 3 spot. But Toy Story is at that number 1 spot. Ever since I saw it as a kid, it has been there. Not even its sequels could have surpassed it for me. Beauty and the Beast, I love you to death. I watched it 3 times in one day after I saw the live action movie. But Toy Story.
Well, this is fun when 2 people have their like number 1 animated films going head to head against each other. Because as much as I love Toy Story, Beauty and the Beast is my top of the pantheon. So I have to go Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Mike, I don't envy you. Your decision here.
You would really break someone's heart now.
Will either of you be able to survive me doing so?
Oh, I can survive. If
Okay.
5 people hating The Force Awakens, I can survive this.
Okay. As long as I know. Okay, right, here we go. Oh. I mean, Toy Story and Beauty and the Beast, they're both unquestionably among the greatest animated films ever made. No one can deny that, not even someone who doesn't like animation. So as I said earlier, I think Beauty and the Beast does pretty much everything. It doesn't make a single mistake like anywhere. It's just so perfectly done. But so is Toy Story. Inadvertently, I mean, as you say, its script was fantastic. Its characters are some of the warmest, flawed, but warmest things ever. And I'm going to throw it to Beauty and the Beast. Like they're literally neck and neck, and what's through it for me it is the slightly dated CGI in Toy Story, which doesn't affect my opinion of the movie one iota. I'm literally using that as a beat stick to make my decision because I can't otherwise. Yeah. Don't judge me.
I'm not judging you. Given what you said, you really had to like reach down to the corners of of this big old box just to find one thing to put over the edge.
Yeah, no, I would have
gone.
Broken. It would be very hard for me, but I would have gone with Beauty and the Beast just because I like musicals more. Like when it comes to shove, I would pick a musical.
Hasn't Beauty and the Beast been through enough this year with that remake? Hasn't it been through enough?
At least we all know the original's impact hasn't been soiled, and hopefully other people do too.
That's right.
Toy Story had better sequels.
Yes.
This is true.
Undeniably.
Yes.
Okay. Very, very true. All right. So we have next one, Spirited Away versus Lion King.
Ooh.
Oh, they just keep getting tougher and tougher.
This is probably the third most hardest, behind picking between Toy Story, Beauty and the Beast, and Wally. Lion King is probably the most iconic, arguably the most iconic upon the Disney Renaissance and everything. And Spirited Away is, if you ask me, like the epitome, the masterpiece of Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki's work. I will give the slight edge to The Lion King.
Yeah, I think these are both amazing films, and I agree that Spirited Away is definitely like the epitome of Studio Ghibli. But I think, as I said, I'm kind of a Disney Renaissance baby. And I have special attachments to The Lion King, and that's what's going to win it out for me.
No, I'm going for Spirited Away. I was going to throw for it even if, both of you hadn't voted on The Lion King. I can't really explain why, because, obviously they're both very personal films to me. So I won't even bother trying. It'll just be a muddle. I'll just go with Spirited Away. Is that okay?
I would have gone with Spirited Away.
Yay.
It's close. I mean, you ask me tomorrow, I'll probably pick Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Like Wally and Beauty and the Beast. It can switch every day it switches.
All right, last one in this round is Moana versus Inside Out.
Well, Inside Out, you had a great run, but I have to give it to Moana.
So I did a ranking of the recent Disney revival era, and Moana won that out for me. It was my number one pick out of all these recent Disney films. If I were to rank Pixar, Inside Out would definitely be in my top 5. I haven't done a Pixar ranking, so I don't quite know where it would fall. This is actually really hard for me. As much as I love Moana and I love all of the characters in Moana and the non-love story for a Disney princess figure and the Polynesian culture being highlighted, I just think that Inside Out is a more complex film that aims higher than Moana initially aims and gets most of what it aims for correct. So I'm going to go with Inside Out.
Ready to break our hearts again, Mike.
Hopefully this is the last time, but it just keeps getting tougher with every round. So I'd be lying, and I don't want to lie to you all. So it's not the last time. Anyway, Moana. I thought it was again, for me, favorite Disney film since Wreck-It Ralph. I know a lot of you aren't the best in Wreck-It Ralph, so say that. But obviously, as great as Moana is, you just can't deny Inside Out its prize in this point. You just have to sort of nod its direction and say, "Yep, you got it." So Inside Out.
All right. Okay. So let's. So the next is we have the Lion King versus Inside Out.
Lion King.
Yeah.
I saw that one coming. So I've been singing Inside Out's praises these last couple of rounds, but I also am going to pick the Lion King on this one.
Okay, so now we are at the final two. This is going to be
The national championship.
Yeah, this is it. It's ended up Disney Renaissance, whereas in the Twitter bracket, it ended up with The Incredibles versus Beauty and the Beast. Here we have Lion King versus Beauty and the Beast. So,
all right.
It should be interesting.
These are probably arguably the two most iconic Disney Renaissance movies possible. Someone could I'm sure a lot of people would make an argument for Aladdin. I obviously wouldn't, but Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, titans in their own rights, but I may like the music more to The Lion King, but I like the tale of Beauty and the Beast more. So I'm going to give it to Beauty and the Beast for the win.
So I've already mentioned before when we had our top battle there, but Lion King is my number 2 when it comes to all Disney films of all time, and it was my favorite up until old adolescence, preteen age. And I agree with you. I actually, as a collective, think Lion King has the better music. But I just find Beauty and the Beast's story to stand out more. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Beauty and the Beast as well.
The hard thing about this bracket is, you're always having to pick a winner, but let's be honest, there are no losers, with only a few exceptions.
Yes.
with only a few exceptions, nearly every film in this bracket is a classic, at least among most people, you know?
Right.
And the further on we go up, the more they're undisputed. I feel I have to open with that, just to be fair. So I'm just going to reiterate what I said earlier. Beauty and the Beast basically makes no mistakes. Lion King, if I have to evaluate it, just tiny niggles here and there. They don't bother me, but I'm just going to use that as the beat stick to throw Beauty and the Beast's way.
Yeah,
The only time we lose is when
so
Up
Beauty and the
wins.
Beast, that's it. It is the winner of the Animation Showdown. It is the greatest animated film of all time, and it's certainly a worthy winner. And it is the winner of the Twitter bracket as well. So everybody pretty much agrees that it is the greatest. So thank you so much for joining me with this. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I know you all put in a lot of work to watching some of these films and put your time into to coming here these 2 weeks. I really appreciate it. I can't say enough. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time, and it was fun to just celebrate. Hopefully people in us talking about these films will go and check them out. Maybe watch some of these more obscure ones like your Watership Downs and your Secret of NIMH and your Ghost in the Shell and things like that. People will check them out because they really are wonderful. And a lot of times animation gets viewed as just for kids, and when really it is a beautiful medium that can tell stories just like any other medium. So if you guys each just want to tell people how they can reach you, and just want to say, I guess, goodbye.
I'll go first. All right. Well, David Gerlach, Gerlach. I review movies. I will pretty much make movie or videos about anything that's movie-related topic. I even made a video about Bonesaw from Spider-Man. So, yeah, you want a guy that just kind of lets his personality take over, just kind of be a little bit crazy and wacky, thinking he's funny when he's probably not. Come find me. Movie lover, just love movies. I'm sure that the link will be in the description below. And yeah, this was a lot of fun and a lot of hard work.
All right, as I said before, my channel name is L like lion, C like cat, and then screen talk. And it is the same name for Twitter and Instagram, where I post movie-related stuff and take you on my adventures. But yeah, go ahead, subscribe to the channel for mostly movie reviews, but some more serious, in-depth discussions. And as I said, so that you are up to date, as a new comedy video is coming up, as well as a new lip sync video. So fun stuff on the way.
Awesome.
Okay, here we go. So my YouTube channel is Cartoon Karma, same name on Facebook. On Twitter, it's just Toon Karma. And, if you're as passionate about animation as I am and just want to gush about it while at the same time being fair and critiqueful and all that, then my channel is the place for you. Because, like I said, most films are winners in their own way, just some more than others. So that's basically it.
Yeah. So thanks so much again for joining me this. I did want to point out real quick that today is Free Comic Book Day. So you want to support your local comic book stores. And yeah, Larry's already done it. And go and get your free. Oh, you did too?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So yeah, go and get support local businesses, your local businesses, and get your free comics. So
save physical media. Don't let digital media overtake the comic book world.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, put in your comments. We'd love to hear what you would say about some of these matchups, and put in the comments section. And thanks again. And I'm going to be doing a special podcast. I'm really excited on Monday with the Prince. We're going to be talking about the Prince of Egypt versus Moana bracket with a friend of mine. And so that should be really fun. And we have a couple other fun ones coming up. So just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and enjoy all this great animation.
Yay.